The in-person scouting for Ivan Demidov has officially begun in North America as Gold Star Hockey, his agency, is hosting an event in Florida where multiple teams are talking to him in person, and some people are saying that he has shocked them so far. So we're going to get into everything that's happened with Ivan Demidov. Plus, we have a quote from Johsua Roy on how he sees himself being quite successful and what his goals are for next season with Montreal. Finally, some talk about Cole Eiserman and some kind of great quotes that make us maybe second guess whether the Habs should consider trading up for him. All coming up on this episode of Habs Digest, and we're going to start, Jesse, with Cole Eiserman, and he speaks a bit about his two-way game. Now, as we all know, Cole Eiserman has fallen out of that top 5 in the mock drafts. I mean, he did pretty early on this season, but at one point, Jesse, he was one of the top prospects in this draft if you go back to last year and even the year before a little bit because of his shot. But recently, there's been a lot of questions about his two-way game. What can he do if he's not scoring goals? And Mark Masters of TSN did a recent interview with Cole Eiserman, and I'm going to give you some of the answers he gave. He said, I still think I'm at the top of this draft. It's kind of what you do after you get picked, and I'm excited to do that. And going on to say, what's he going to do if he's not scoring goals, which is a question that apparently a lot of teams asked him, he said this. He said, I'm still going to work really hard, be physical, be first on pucks, be back on the back check, interrupt plays, block shots, and kind of be like a power forward is how he finished off. And he made it very clear, Jesse, that he looks forward to working on his two-way game. He actually said he's very proud of his development in his two-way game. I mean, I know some people think he's quite cocky, but you kind of have to be at the talent level that he's at. I'm starting to like his answers more and more. I know there's some people who are weird on him, and I know the odds of the Habs trading up to get him, whether it's in the teens, is low, but I kind of love these answers. I just, there's something about this guy that I feel like is going to make him succeed.
For sure, he's a straight shooter, and it's definitely that confidence will definitely help, right? We know hockey players, they're trained to be this way, right? So we can't knock Cole Eiserman too much, but what's really impressing me besides that, though, is really, again, just knowing what the issue is and just addressing it specifically. Mm-hmm. I loved another one of his quotes from this interview where he said he's going to work his tail off for the team that drafts him. For me, that was just music to my ears. We know that you can score, but if you just combine that passion in these other ways, right, I really think that just takes everything to the next level. Another big thing that really stood out for me in this interview was saying how he really is just like what motivates him to score goals. He says like just the excitement, right? I just having that passion. I think, obviously to be that NHL goal scorer that the Montreal Canadiens need, you need to have that drive, right? That real passion that takes you to the elite level company of goal scorers in the NHL. Obviously, this is something that the Montreal Canadiens need, right? And it remains to see. We got another pick in the first round. Are we going to package that to maybe get a shot around the 15th sort of pick? I mean, that's not too crazy. That's why we got to be talking about it.
It's not too crazy. My super hot take is that they try and package that trade with sort of an established young defenseman. I don't know which one, maybe to try and trade it to the Sharks. I actually haven't really looked at that in detail. I don't know if that even makes any sense for the Sharks. Not for number 1, but for number 14. The Sharks have number 14. So it's yet to be seen, but he said he likes Austin Matthews, he likes Jack Eichel, and he really seemed to double down on how much he likes being physical, which is a cool attribute too. But yeah, Cole Eiserman, definitely an outside shot at Montreal getting him. Definitely nothing really confirming that, but these quotes are like, I'm starting to think, Jesse, if they can make it happen, maybe they'll do it. But we're going to move on to some other stuff. We got to talk about a current Hab, and it's Johsua Roy, and he certainly has some high aspirations. But you know what, Jesse? I'd actually argue that his aspirations are very much neutral. Like, I think he's very level-headed, but I think we're more pumped for him than he is. But I'm gonna pop this up here now, and we're gonna bring it up. So Johsua Roy said, well, he was asked about playing in the top 9. Like, that's kind of his goal? He's like, yeah, that's it. That's the goal. I'm gonna put all the chances on my side, have a big summer of training, and what's gonna happen is gonna happen. I'm not worried. The Habs are gonna make the best decision for me. But my mentality is to make my place known there in the top 9. He wants to be in that top 9, and Jesse, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be. This guy played pretty much all of the season in that middle 6, right? He even got some brief looks, I think, up near that top line. He's got some brief looks kind of all around the whole lineup. But the one thing with him is every single time he stepped on the ice, it felt like he was making the right decision, the right play. He never looked out of place. I think top 9's an absolute lock for him this year. I know we got some players coming back from injury. Habs might be making some moves here and there. But I just think his cerebral game and the way he can work with any line mate, Johsua Roy, looks good. I think that's going to really benefit him heading into this season.
Absolutely. And he's really determined this offseason to really put in the work and come back next season and really take his place. And our word to Johsua was, to set your goals even higher, right? Because I feel like this guy is going to be battling with Alex Newhook for that top 6 role. I just believe that that's the type of player he is. I think that Johsua Roy is a sleeper. Like, this guy is going to be really good. He already looked dangerous already early in his career. I just feel like with that intelligence, just getting more of that experience, he's going to start taking advantage of opposing teams out on the ice, because I believe he's got that next level hockey mind, right? So with his emergence, that then opens up so many different line combinations, right? Like, obviously, we love our top line. Was got a long way to go, but like, just to say is that, like, obviously a smart player like him, a smart player like Suzuki, they would work well together. Like, is Johsua Roy able to somehow get a power play spot in the future, right? Again, I think that this guy is capable of so many things. He's shown in the past he is capable of playing with the top level of players in the world, right? So I'm so excited for this young player.
Yeah, his potential is really interesting to me because I find it hard to project what his ceiling is going to be. Like, is he going to be a 60, 70 point guy, or is he going to stay around 40, 50, stay in that middle 6? Like, either way, I'd be thrilled. Like, this guy was, what, a 5th round pick, right? So, like, pretty much what he is already, I'm thrilled with. So, he's an interesting guy where, like, people thought his skating would hold him back. It's definitely not elite level or anything, but he doesn't look out of place. I don't even know what to project his ceiling as. I think this season's going to give us a much better idea with him being in the NHL full time and probably not being sent back to Laval. We'll see. We'll just see for Johsua Roy. What do you guys think Johsua Roy's ceiling is? Let us know down below. And Jesse, before we get into this final topic, I just want to remind you, if you're watching at this point in the video, leave a like on the video. You guys love leaving likes. We love when you leave likes. We'd really appreciate it. Time to get in to Ivan Demidov. So, we're finally seeing him, Jesse. I mean, we obviously saw some highlights of him over in Russia. Some teams have had a bit of a chance to go take a look at some of his games, but overall, he's still a bit of a mystery, sort of been shrouded in mystery since day one here. But he was the consensus number 2 pick for a while, but as of the recent few mock drafts, last few weeks or months, he's been falling down with a lot of mocks, having him landing in Montreal at number 5. But today, he is in Florida for this event from Gold Star, his agency, which also represents a lot of other NHL players. It's a busy morning. Kyle Davidson was there, Pat Verbeek was there, Craig Conroy was there, among others. Kent Hughes was not named, but you gotta assume that he's there, and even if he's not there today, he'll be there this week. Like, he's gonna be there no matter what. But they're also there to take looks at Ivan Demidov, Artem Levshunov, Zane Parekh, and more. And if I go on here, Ryan Kennedy from the Hockey News said, just did an in-person interview with 2024 draft prospect Ivan Demidov, and he is at least 6 feet tall, definitely bigger than listed, with some people saying, Jesse, he clocked in at about 6'1", though the official measurements are not going to come in until later this week. Final thing, though, from his article, quote, he has lived up to everything we expected from last year, said one scout. He has those silky hands in tight, the ability to finish around the net, and that heaviness on his stick. You see a lot of his goals where he's heavily contested by defenders, and he still scores because he's a natural in tight. Not only that, there were some people saying that they were shocked by his English ability, right? They were some, holy crap, you're an inch or two taller than we thought. You speak quite good English. So there were some kind of revelations about him today, Jesse, and I'm honestly thrilled now, but now the narrative has sort of flipped, and I'm seeing so many people say, yeah, there's no shot he's going to go past Chicago at number 2. Well, what do you make of this? I mean, I'm starting to think that the odds the Habs get him are lower and lower, but it is just really cool to see the perspectives on him after just one day of meeting him in Florida.
Yeah, I feel like Chicago would be very smart to select him at number 2. I honestly would not be surprised at all for just what he's going to bring, right? Like, we know the game today is like just so predicated on speed. So that means defenders are coming on you quicker. That means your ability to be able to make plays in tight, in close with some of the best snipers like Austin Matthews. Obviously, that's what they specialize in, is just those in tight, being able to make those shots, make those plays, right? Like, for me right now, if we had the shot, which in an amazing world of Demidov or Lindstrom, I'm taking Demidov. I've been thinking about it. It's not just because of the height, for sure that was the one knock on him before, though, right? It's like the one thing, okay, he played in the MHL and maybe he's just a little bit shorter than some of his peers, right? Like, I feel like even besides the height, like, just this guy's skill, right? As we're watching videos, we're getting ready for the big draft day coming up. Like, this guy just, every time I see him, just impresses me even more, right? So I think that skill isn't going to be lost on these scouts as well. So, honestly, I'm so happy that we're finally getting a chance to really meet this player, right? Because it's been so hard for a long time. We had to actually bring them to North America to really make this happen. I think he's finally starting to get the respect that he deserves.
It's so cool, man. Like, Demidov, like, Lindstrom is amazing. And like, when I'm scouting Lindstrom now, I'm trying to not take into account his injury, because realistically, that's something Kent Hughes and them are going to evaluate on their own. So like, for me, if I'm just picking a prospect, I don't know the full extent of his injury. So it's like, Who do I choose? I just think Demidov has that extra game breaker level of ability, right? He compares himself and he said there's not really a full comparison, but like the names Jack Hughes, Kirill Kaprizov show up, and these are guys that are game breakers. They're guys that just the game almost slows down when they have the puck and they can just do whatever they want, right? We're talking, I mean, he's not similar to Nathan MacKinnon really, but again, when we're talking about guys that can just seemingly make everyone around him freeze and just slow down, that's the kind of potential that Demidov can get to. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a perennial MVP candidate, win a Stanley Cup, that kind of stuff, because McKinnon's an incredibly high bar, and they're not really similar play style. It is what it is. But he's bigger than thought, Jesse, and his frame is pretty big too. Like, that's another thing. Being the difference between 5'11 and 6'1, which, for I guess people on dating apps, it's absolutely massive. But for the NHL, it's not super huge. But like, again, they say his shoulders are big, and when you're drafting a guy and you see that if he comes in at 6'1, because right now they're saying like it's pretty much guaranteed we'll see 6 feet. But if he comes in at 6'1, I mean, that little bit of height alone might be enough to push him like well above number 5 in the draft. Like that just seems to be where it's going.
Oh, absolutely. You're a big guy yourself, Josh. You know that. Like, it matters, right? That extra little bit of size in the game, right? But for me, it's absolutely like, when he was naming some of the players he really kind of looks up to the most, again, Kucherov came up. And I've thought of that before, obviously, besides just the Russian connection there. It's like, this is the level of player I think that we're talking about. And if not, even better, right? Because the whole thing about the NHL, we need to keep in mind with a lot of these prospects is like, these young players are getting better and better. The game is getting quicker. It's getting faster. So it means these young guys coming up, they might even be better, right? Not all of them, but obviously the level is going up consistently, right? So I think that this guy's absolutely dynamite. I can't wait for Kent Hughes to get over there to have a little bit more of a conversation, because we're seeing things all over the place. A lot of this information, it's kind of making him shoot up. It'll be interesting to see how a lot of the bookmakers react to that, right? But we've still seen him, mocked at a lot of places at 5th overall, which is where we are. And I think that would just be absolutely phenomenal.
We'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be so interesting. Can you imagine Demidov on a wing with like Kirby Dach or something? I think I'd love it. Now, to be fair, from a pure hockey perspective, Bedard and Demidov would be pretty nasty. I mean, I can't lie, right? But at the same time, I don't want that to happen. I don't want Chicago to get something else good, right? I want Montreal to get all the good stuff. Chicago already got Bedard, and they have other stuff that I don't want them to get good stuff. But it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see. What do you guys think about the recent kind of Demidov talk with this new event down in Florida? We'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video. That's all I ask. It's pretty simple. Helps us, helps you, and we'd really appreciate if you did it. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.